Well, for me, it's been a 8-year journey since I've started, took the decision of becoming great with women. 8 years ago, I used to be a totally different guy from who I am nowadays. I was a guy who had a lot of social anxiety. I was very, very shy. And for me, it was even hard just walking down the street because I was always so nervous and tensed up. And when it came with women, I had zero women in my life. And I couldn't even speak with them because I was so nervous. I was so shy. I just wouldn't open my mouth when I actually got a chance to meet a girl. And I probably had one or two friends who were also very similar to me. So my situation was really tragic. And there was a situation in my life that happened when I was 20 years old that made me realize that I needed to change. I was taking my car license. I was in class hearing my teacher speaking. And all of a sudden, this really gorgeous girl enters in class. We lock eye contact, and I immediately knew I wanted to meet this girl. I felt immediately attracted to her. I'm not sure if she felt the same way, but somehow I had the idea that she also was attracted to me. Although at that specific moment, I really didn't take any kind of action. I just didn't have the courage of just opening my mouth and speaking with this girl. So once I got home, I immediately started browsing the internet trying to find the solution for my issue. And the weeks went by, nothing really happened with her. Uh, One day, I was online and I found the selection community, the pickup artist community. I was I was really amazed by the quantity of information which I found on their forums and blogs. I really thought I had a gold mine in my hands, and I was really happy. So I started trying to absorb every single piece of information I could find, in, initially from their forums. Then eventually, I also purchased a few ebooks from the so-called gurus. I really wanted to get everything perfect. I wanted to know exactly what to say to women, how to get them to kiss me. I wanted to know everything. So I tried to observe every single information I could find. But when it came with that girl, I mean, sure, I thought I knew a bit more what to say to her and so on, but still, I didn't have the guts to meet this girl. And also, eventually, I found out that she had a boyfriend, which made me feel tremendously bad and mad. So I finished the course, and nothing really happened with her. But it was really the beginning of my process of wanting to become better with women because until then, I was pretty much living in the illusion that I was this guy. I was anxious. I was shy. This was who I was. This was really my personality. And therefore, I couldn't do anything to change it. And I also had this idea that someday I would just meet this special girl. She would just enter my life out of nowhere. And I would have this perfect relationship, this fairy tale relationship with her, and, and have a happy life with her. I really had this idea, but from this situation, I just found out that don't have patience, enough patience for that to happen, and very probably that wouldn't happen. And I really needed to take some action in improving myself so I could get what I wanted. So after this, I joined the pickup artist community later in Lisbon, where I started meeting several guys belonging to the community. I spent nearly 3 years in this community, in the Lear. And after 3 years, I just decided to quit because I realized that I wasn't becoming better with women. Actually, I was becoming far worse. I was becoming a guy who overanalyzed every single situation with them even more than before I joined the community because I was constantly reading and I constantly wanted. I had really this. I wanted to get everything perfect, as I said, which made me become a guy who overanalyzed every single situation even more, made me feel even more anxious, even more frustrated once I didn't get the outcome that I was expecting with them. So I was really becoming worse. And From what I realized from also the other guys who belong to the community and from interacting with them, I realized they weren't having any kind of success with women, even though they knew all the strategies, they knew everything they needed to do with women. They weren't having any kind of success, and many of them were very depressed. They had a life they didn't enjoy, so something was really wrong. So I quitted the community, and I also had this idea deep inside, which I thought this cannot be so complicated. It has to be far more simpler. Because when I was a teenager, I was a very social guy, and most of my friends were very good with women. And they weren't good with women, but they didn't knew all the strategies. They didn't knew all this crap, but they still had plenty of women in their life. So something was definitely wrong. So after this, I spent nearly 8 months without doing anything, without reading any kind of information related with seduction. I pretty much was just, I pretty much quit it from everything. But after 8 months, I really got back to it because I told myself I cannot quit so easy. I mean, I'm so young and I'm quitting and I cannot. So once again, I started browsing the internet. I found an article from a guy who appeared called Curry Sky, and he was telling that he knew how to teach guys to become naturally attractive by building their mindset and their presence. So I immediately knew that this was exactly what I was trying to find, and I purchased his program and I started following his exercises. Although during my 1 year and a half of finding him and following his teachings, I saw great improvements in my life, but I wasn't very consistent. I used to do the exercises and I would go out, but I wasn't very consistent. I mean, I would see more women checking me out, more situations happening to me in the nightclub, but still, it wasn't very consistent. Until one day, this was probably one of the most important decisions that I took in my life. It was a Saturday night. I just got back from home because I used to get home really late at night because I used to be a chef and we always had these really weird schedules. So it was late at night. I was in front of my computer, home alone, and I started telling myself, what the fuck am I doing here? I mean, the girls are out there having fun, guys are out there meeting them, and I'm here all alone doing what? And from that night, I grabbed a piece of paper and wrote exactly this. I promise myself from this day forward that I will do everything in my power to change my dating life. And it was really this solid promise that I made myself that made a huge impact in my life. Because from that night forward, I started going out alone, at least initially, because I didn't have anyone to go out. And I even remember getting home late at night, at midnight, and so on, taking a small nap, and getting up at 2 a.m. during the winter, cold as fuck, and just going to a nightclub all alone just because I really took this promise to myself and I really wanted to get this thing together. I also started doing my other exercise to improve my mindset. And I tell you what, after a month of taking this solid decision, I already had a few friends to go out and have amazing time. They were guys who were very fun to be with. After 1 month and a half, there was a really huge change because I was really consistent and I was really going after what I wanted. It made the difference. And after this time, one night I was in the nightclub with my friends, and this has in past 1 month and a half, as I said, since I took that decision. We were in the nightclub I used to go back then to a rock and roll nightclub where I could always find mature women because I always had this little thing about having sex with a older girl. And we were in the nightclub having fun, drinking, smoking, dancing. I was in the dance floor. My buddies went to the bar to grab another drink. I was there alone. But I realized that there were two girls near me who were dancing, but I felt that they weren't exactly there just to dance. They wanted something more. So I gathered up my courage and I approached one of them, the one that I found mostly the most attractive. I asked her name. I started talking with her. A few seconds, I was dancing with her. Possibly after 10 minutes, I was making out with this girl in the middle of the dance floor. My brothers were looking at me like, what the fuck is happening here? And after a while, she asks if I wanted a drink. So I told her that I didn't want another drink because I didn't want to get drunk because I was driving. But I still went with her to the bar so she could get her drink. While we were in at the bar, she was drinking and her glass and so on. We started speaking, and all of a sudden she just approaches me really close and whispers in my ear, "Do you want to go home with me?" And I was really excited because it really never happened to me such situation. But I still tried to maintain my coolness, like it's something that was always happening to me. So I just look her in the eyes and I say, "Yeah, okay, sure, why not?" And start smiling. So I told my friends that I was going to leave. I went to her place. We had a fantastic night. Actually, it wasn't a one night stand because the next night we gathered up again and we went once again to her place and had fun. So it was really the my beginning. I really felt that everything was changing for me. I was becoming far better with women. And after a few months of this, I started becoming really great with women. I started meeting like 3 or 4 women each night. I'm not saying I had always one night stands, not always, but many times I had. I was always getting with great consistent datings along my week. And yes, that was something that happened to me 3 years ago. And since then, I've been always constantly improving myself when it comes to this. But something I realized along this process, and especially during this past 3 years, is when I first started this, it was really about becoming great with women. It was the only thing I wanted. It was my only intention. But after being in this for a while, I realized that this wasn't about women. This was really about discovering myself as a man. It was really about becoming a better man. And along these 3 years, I've changed a lot. I became a far more confident guy. I'm far more attractive, even though I'm older. But I feel really far more attractive. It's becoming even nowadays. It's easy. It's so easy for me to meet women. It's just mad, and I mean, I became a far more ambitious guy. That's something that I noticed along that I didn't used to have because back then 3 years ago I was a guy that didn't have much ambition. I just didn't care if I was doing a mediocre job which didn't fulfill me. I really didn't care. And currently I'm building my own business. I'm going after my dreams. I'm really going after exactly what I want in life. I'm also in an amazing relationship with a very special girl for over a year, and I've been very happy with that. Although the thing is, I really know I have choice with women, and I'm just with her because it's my choice. And anytime if I feel I want to be with other women, I really have that choice. I really can make that decision, and it's something very easy for me. So that's a bit about my journey, and yeah, that's all for this question.